Yo. Dow. Yo, we're at the fourth. No, wait. I guess in this case, fifth. This is the fourth of my solo projects, but the fifth of my overall projects. Well, really six at this point, but we're not going to count Lucid Dreaming because that was kind of like a one-off of the one-offs. I mean, it's on SoundCloud if you want to listen to it. Lucid Dreaming, check it out. Yeah, so we're at JORDA. First off, let's do some catching up. I have an interview with TK Shady on his channel. Check that out. It's coming out, full interview coming out this Friday, so February the 6th. But there's clips up there on his channel. Check it out. One of my freaking collaborators, JT Flame, is coming out with a new project, Burn the Reject. So that's coming out. So check that out as well. So yeah, JORDA. This album changed a lot about how I perceive people and how I perceived really the business of music. I didn't really realize it at the time, but at the time I was selling shirts, and I actually sold a handful of shirts, which was pretty good, but that was the only time, like one of the rare times I actually started making money from music. And what I realized from that is, like, at least with my brand, that people have to like you first before they like the music. I didn't really understand that wisdom. I saw the dynamic, but I didn't really understand the wisdom until someone explained it to me like that. And I was like, wow, they do have to buy into you first before they buy into your music. So, I think this was the one where if you look at my Instagram page, there's a lot of like journal entries almost for like philosophy and all that kind of stuff. It's overt. It's very different. This is where the saying "Dow," the Dow comes from. Cause I was doing the Dow Weekend show at the time when I was on a podcast and everything. And yeah, I think this is where my personality really comes out, and I really find who I am in this project. Of course, you see glimpses in the previous one, but I really find where I am in this project. The reception of it overall was pretty good, but the haters were huge during this time. But the reception overall was still pretty good. Yeah, just highly rated. So complaints were about the mixing. But as far as the content and everything goes, it was actually overall pretty good, all things considered. But people had a problem with the mixing. So that's the most honest take that I could have as far as that. But the money was starting. I was starting to actually start to take this serious. But as you can see in the cover, Jasmine's pregnant. So that gave me distraction a little bit. And then I came back with Project 2025 and then was really lost a little bit as to what music meant for me. And now we're at this point. So, yeah, this project is a pretty big transitional one. One that people don't really say is the best, one that's overlooked. I think probably because it's misunderstood. So we're going to get into it. We're going to see how it aged. And I was supposed to have the audio enhanced on this one, but it seems like Mixia and DistroKid's kind of slow with that, so I don't think it's updated. So we're gonna hear it as it came out. So yeah, JORDA, let's go.
No one will listen to you if you ain't woke. If you don't fit into the status quo. If you don't flex something you don't really own. If you're too different and you can't get control. No one will listen to you if you ain't woke. If you don't fit into the status quo. If you don't flex something you don't really own. If you're too different and you can't get control. I'm not interested in cooperation or the media and its exploitation. Try to mold me in their expectation, like my soul will be copied and pasted. They'll sound too cocky and flagrant, like what they say is the gospel, relaying this message from God, so obey it. But I'm not okay with everything that is stated. I own my flesh and what I do with it. Ain't no trend in the world can undo this. It don't sound like me if it's my music. I put my rhymes and beats and vibes to it. I ain't enslaved to no corporation. Same flame and no creative, who suppress their own imagination. For what? Some confirmation? For a handshake from a publication? Or critics who give adulation? No one will listen to you if you ain't woke. If you don't fit into the status quo. If you don't flex something you don't really own. If you too different and you can't be controlled. No one will listen to you if you ain't woke. If you don't fit into the status quo. If you don't flex something you don't really own. If you too different and you can't be controlled. Why would I try to be the same as people who don't like me anyway? Why would I then go and change and sacrifice what I have that's innate? Sometimes I feel like I have to isolate before others separate me from the others. So I make my own path for the traits that have me pushed away until the day I get discovered. Institutions are against me, teachers and students are against me, saying I'm narcissistic the more I act friendly. Words make me think they act in envy. Don't know if I'm wrong or they wrong, that's the biggest mystery. The fact that elites can be so wrong without convincing makes me look funny at people who are obsessed with teaching. Saying innovation is great until you break the mold. Then they say things just to break your soul. I ain't gonna parrot nothing or play my role, cause I can win without being under anyone's wing. On my own. No one will listen to you if you ain't woke. If you don't fit into the status quo. If you don't flex something you don't really own. If you too different and you can't be controlled. No one will listen to you if you ain't woke. If you don't fit into the status quo. If you don't flex something you don't really own. If you too different and you can't be controlled.
Yeah, that's the intro. And this is the first project in line where the intro is not called intro. It's just a song within itself. And this album is 38 minutes. I thought it was longer. It's 38 minutes. I think Project 2025 is around the same length. So it's actually a shorter, more minimal album than the previous ones. What I think about the song? Yeah, the mixing could have been a little bit more even. I think what happened was with this one, it's much more loud than the previous projects. And I think I focused so much on loudness to where I remember at the time people were complaining like, yo, these songs are way too loud and unbalanced. Of course, I can't hear if it's unbalanced yet because I just heard the first song. But yeah, the lyrics. What I say? There's one part that I really like about the.
So what was so convincing? Makes me look funny at people who are obsessed with teaching. Saying innovation is great until you break the mold. Then they say things just to break your soul. I ain't gonna. These can be so wrong without convincing. Teachers and students are against me, saying I'm narcissistic the more I act friendly. Words that make me think they act in envy. Don't know if I'm wrong or they wrong, that's the biggest mystery. The fact that elites can be so wrong without convincing makes me look funny at people who are obsessed with teaching. Saying,
yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the biggest issues I had with the world when it came to JORDA was like, don't know if I'm wrong or they wrong, that's the biggest mystery. The fact that the elites could be so wrong but so convincing make me wonder or sort of be concerned about the people that are obsessed with teaching. At the time I left Chicago, COVID was happening. Obviously, I think the COVID regime was very, very cruel. And I think a lot of the wokesters were using wokeness to... First off, I'm really postmodern for anybody. Look up postmodernism and I'm really postmodern because I've seen both left and right people be corrupt and use whatever notion or philosophy to control people. And there's a lot of gaslighting with that. And like I said, don't know if I'm wrong or they're wrong. That's the biggest mystery. The people who teach, I'm concerned. I'm sort of conflicted with them. And all these types of narratives like, oh, you can't make it if you're not woke. And I know that term is really, really contrived nowadays and back then, really. But woke is just really corporate. I'll define woke as this for you because you say define woke. I say woke is a pejorative term used to describe corporate leftists, aka the average mainstream Democrat, who basically use identity politics to control minority groups in order to get votes. I'll consider that as the woke. If that's not clear enough for you, I don't know what is. Yeah, saying that you have to represent your people, you have to represent this. And JORDA, there's a lot of individuation from what I remember, a lot of individuation because I'm spreading individualism and individuality. You are yourself. Take your life seriously. And I still stand on that today. Yeah, take your life seriously. Your stuff is your stuff. Be proud of who you are. And I think this is the first formation of that, where I come into people really need to have self-esteem. I was reading a lot of Ayn Rand. And Ayn Rand uses selfishness, but if you read into what she actually meant by selfishness, she really meant self-esteem, if you really look into it. But yeah, I think it's a straightforward song. I think the beat was great, fitted well, incredible. Mixing was a little bit weird, but who cares? If you're listening to me up to this point, you know I'm about that rawness. You know I'm about that presence, and I'm here to say a message. So loved it. All right, next song, Young Man in My Old Age.
I'm a young man in my old age. Got no wrinkles on my face.
Woo! That melody.
Don't waste time, don't play games. And I'm still stuck in my ways. I'm a young man in my old. Like I'm old and jaded, I don't compromise. I hold on to what is mine. Plus I read books on my free time. Old school, I'm on a rewind. Family on my mind, but it's all music to unwind. And I don't share what I say is mine. What I do is on a budget. I need to be stable just to function. Only thing I'm missing is crutches, but I'm still proud and I'm still rugged. Use common sense to make judgments. Don't need no one to give nothing. Before I beg, I'll get gutted. And laziness makes me take umbrage. A young man in my old age.
That beat.
And this is how it will stay.
Yeah.
Been around long, but I won't change. Too focused for a whole phase.
Right.
I'm a young man in my old. I don't care if it's new or it's progressive. I don't care if it's hard or if it's trending. If it don't make sense, then it's senseless. If it sounds dumb and I don't get it, I don't care what's cool, I don't accept it. Keep the government off my weapons, I ain't a part of the collective. Lift the bootstraps that I step with. Only MILFs in my section. If she can't drink, then she can't think. She needs to be born before 97. 70s fro keeps me flexing. Dab on for being well rested. Button ups when I'm dressing. Keep myself home, I don't need friendships. I'm a young man in my old age. Like I stay alone in my man cave. My favorite album is Purple Rain.
Tell him.
I bump the spinners on a bad day.
Spinner's fire.
I'm a young man in my old age. Till the young fools stay in their place. Who wanna distract me with they play dates. Who just wanna get together and smoke their life away.
True.
Who can't think for themselves and just be fake. The young nowadays wanna imitate. It seems cool now not to have a brain and follow what the grams say. But somehow I'm told that I'm lame.
Dow. Like I said, the first iteration of the Dow, especially in music. That song was fire. That beat was so loud and proud, but also it had a little bit of like almost self-reflection in it, like with the boom, 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 boom. Like it's almost like I hear that melody, I'm just like thinking in awe, like like almost like pensive, but like the distortion adds that little like earness that like aggression. There's a little underlying aggression, like almost like a grouchy old man within that, but it's synthesized and it still sounds new. Really great song. I mean, yeah, I think a lot of people said that I'm old or old school because I would literally tell them that, like I said in my So Many Mackins video, right? Like, they confuse creativity with antiquity. Like, that's literally what I was going through then, just struggling, which is like, yeah, I listened, and also, some to be fair, it's like, I dress up in button-ups, whatever, and like, I didn't catch up with trends or follow what the grams say. So, for anyone that's listening, this is for alternative thinkers, for anyone that's listening, typically when people say you're old, that means you're not, they're typically trendy people. So what does that mean? Let's say there's a new trend that came out today, and it's you wear pickle shoes. I was making it up. You wear pickle shoes, If you didn't hear that trend at the same time that someone else heard that trend, they'll call you old even if you were up to date before then, or even if you're younger than them. That's how it works. And so for me, it was confusing because I'm like, yo, if I'm doing something new that's never been done before, how could I be old? But in their mind, they're like, yo, youthfulness is attached to this particular trend, like being on Instagram or being on Vine. Vine's not a thing anymore, but TikTok, catching up with the new thing. That defines you being young in the mind of trendy people. I would call them idiotic, but sometimes they're being a little bit kind of saying it in jest. So it's not as oftentimes not idiotic. There's sometimes where it's blatantly idiotic. I think in the time of drill music, it was blatantly idiotic. But I don't think a lot of people meant a lot of wrong by it or ill will by it when they said it to me. But I do think a lot of people that in their teenage years that are typically at the time when I was doing, because I was it's 2021, so at the time it's 2026 now, so I'm 21. Yeah, a lot of people around my age were just smoking weed, just being stupid. And so I guess it was definitely funny. I'm clearly joking at some of these lines. But like, yeah, I guess I'm just going to embrace the fact that people call me old because of my wisdom, or I want to be original, I guess. So that's pretty much what that's about. The writing here is much more clear than the previous albums too. So that's pretty cool. Third song, Encouragement, featuring Infamous Cade. Shout out to Infamous Cade, but of course we're going to skip his verse. If he wants to explain that, he can. Ooh, that rhythm.
I know I've been tough, know I haven't said much, but I wanna be seen. I know I've been tough, know I haven't said much, but I wanna be seen.
Forgive me if I'm stuttering. I don't want this to be another misunderstanding where I have to make some type of trick to seem legitimate. I was isolated for most of my innocence, quiet and kept limited, so I didn't fit in with other kids. I was so stuck in my head that only what I thought did exist. Ain't no brother or sister would help me then. I don't have much friends that lasted me for a lifetime. People pushed me away and I did the same likewise. So why would I change now that I'm older and time passed by? I know I seem uninterested, but I'm just unkind. It's not me, it's normality and conformity. You can start ignoring me, but you won't have authority over me. I will be noticed even if you're not noticing, cause what I've seen conditioned me for status quo conditioning. Keep that in your memory.
I know I've been tough, know I haven't said much, but I wanna be seen. I know I've been tough, know I haven't said much, but I wanna be seen.
I feel like I'm breaking in darkness with the statements. I need the Lord to go and make my case again. If
Yeah. Let's.
can speak for me, that'll be great, cause I don't feel like facing them. Fuck all the making friends, those are make a plan for the crown to be placed in hands. I soak in whatever for better weather, even if storms stir up. I apply effort and take a stand. I and I take the chance. Yeah. But knowing I will never lose these tracks, have the residue from them blending.
Get back to the chorus, yeah.
Know I've been tough, know I haven't said much, but I wanna be seen. I know I've been tough, know I haven't said much, but I wanna be seen.
Short, sweet, to the point. Yep. So impressions of that song. These are songs that are going by fast. Impressions of that song. I feel like it gets straight to the point, which is why I love. And I feel like that's on probably 2025 too. One big critique I have about that song is I feel like I can sing that hook better now. No, I've been tough. No, I haven't said much, but I wanna be seen. Like I feel like my breath control in that, and just my overall like performance of that could have been way better now. But as you know, just listening to it, it's fine. It doesn't stick out, but it's fine. The singing there that I've done is fine. The singing that Infamous did there is fine. So that's one critique I have of that. But as a song, it's not bad at all. Yeah, I mean, I think it's still coming out of that mindset of mine and Manny Mackins, which is like you want to be seen, but you want to hide at the same time. I think I was going through that conflict of wanting to be seen yet being tough and having this tough exterior and just being afraid of doing it, like the status quo conditioning. Keep that in your memory. I love that rhyme scheme there. That's pretty cool. You can start ignoring me, but you'll never have authority over me. I thought that was really cool as well. Yeah, straightforward sentiment, but the feeling there is really good and shows who I am and coming out and becoming more confident. I don't think it's 2026 right now. Yeah, I don't think that confidence fully comes until 5 years later, or probably even recognized till Project 2025 comes out, 3 years later than this. So, yeah, I think it was the beginning of that thought process, but I still had a lot to learn, looking back at it. So, yeah, I really like that song, actually. These songs are really impressive to me. They're short, sweet, and very impactful because of that. Let's go. Fall to the Ground.
What do I do when I forward the sounds of the free and renewed who stand out from the crowd? How will it be when the mental police control how they think and I fall to the ground? Cause I don't want no leader to rule us all, because I don't want freedom to be gone, because I...
Yo, that beat is crazy. Hold up. Yo, like, I understand what people would say, particularly in this song where the horns are too loud, they're blazing, but they make you pay attention. Hold up.
What do I do when
I was watching a lot of Hamilton here too, so I think that's where a lot of the theater kind of performance of this hook comes from too.
What do I do when I forward the sounds of the free and renewed who stand out from the crowd?
Super minimal.
When the mental police control how they think and I fall to the ground. Cause I don't want no leader to rule us all, because I don't want freedom to be gone, because I see coercion and its flaws, because I don't want people to right the wrongs and abide by the premise of the state and its lies. Like the ambition of man's independent mind will consume itself and eventually die, as if the elites aren't really rotting inside. The people at top are who sets our limits, but if one breaks the rules, he will transcend them. And authority won't exist unless it's given. If we're so broken and lost without politicians, then explain how we are fixed by the wicked, and why my life is bounded by their decisions, and why life is conducted by their opinion. Even if the majority is standing with them, why am I punished for thinking and being different? Our rights contingent on a general consensus. Does popularity decide what's right and what isn't? Why would I sacrifice for the good of the ruling? Why am I forced for another man to come and use me? Why am I quiet when I see the state and its cruelty? It's like we always losing. What do I...
So, impressions on that. There's a lot of philosophical questions, obviously, with the anarchic or individualistic spin on them. Yeah, it's like in our culture, for the powers that be, like, we can transcend them. We could be beyond what are the powers that be in this. And there's a big political essence in here. I think one thing my projects before and especially this one shows that, like, to be your own individual, you have to deal with the culture and society. So you have to therefore be political. And I think that feeling like your rights are being taken away, because this is coming obviously from Chicago, like seeing Chicago, I don't care what nobody says. A lot of basic freedoms and rights I feel like were taken away from me because of just the population. For example, and this is for people that, like, listen, I'm not gonna say I'm neither left or right or centrist, whatever. Y'all can judge where I stand based off of sentiments I have in my projects or wherever. But, like, here's the thing. Let's look at the Democratic, the left right now, right? or back then, mainly back then. Now when Joe Biden, before he got into office, let's keep it real. It was COVID, but they allowed the rioters to go do whatever. They told the innocent people to stay inside unless they were rioting or wrestling. That's a line I say in another song in Park 2025, right? It was all political. They'll take away your rights for their political gain, and if it makes sense. See, even if you think that COVID lockdowns made sense at the time, if you live in America, I don't know about everybody everywhere else, but if you live in America, if you think that they're right at the time, they opened it up selectively so that politicians could either get money or get what they wanted from the system. Why do I bring this up? Because Fall to the Ground, this whole project is saying we can't transcend that. We don't have to depend on politicians. If our life is worthless without politicians, it's like we do everything that we could to appease these people or prove that we're good citizens. Are they even good citizens? And that's the question that I'm asking in the first verse of this song. So yeah, I think that's the overall question. It's really straightforward. So but I just wanted to comment on that. During this time, this is during COVID, so I felt like we weren't questioning our politicians adequately. We weren't. So
When I forward the sounds of the free and renewed who stand out from the crowd, how will it be when the mental police control how they think and I fall to the ground? Why am I always reluctant to refuse? Preaching freedom but still moved by their rules. Putting your head down seems like a better move. Rather be weak than be seen as a fool. But isn't it foolish to be used as a tool and disregard freedom to get along with the group and sacrifice everything you have for them too? Doesn't man have the right to live as they choose? I'm afraid there's not one person at top, but our ideas that keep the people on lock. We deify the leaders that we got, make myths of men like there's something that they're not. Nobody really knows how to rule perfectly. I'm not saying I'm flawless with my philosophy. I'm just saying we can live voluntarily. My main mission is to convince people that they're free. Live how they want, not forced into anything, but at the very least make them proud of their property. Know you own yourself and take responsibility for everything you do in life and take your life seriously. Nobody has the right to tell you who you ought to be. Pave your way, make decisions independently. What do I do when I forward the sounds of the free and renewed who stand out from the crowd? How will it be when the mental police control how they think and I fall to the ground?
yeah, so I really like that song. There's like kind of like this weird vibe of the song where it's kind of like a lecture mixed with rapping. And it really makes you think. Like the pauses in between the verses and the hook and all that kind of stuff, and the minimalism really puts the message in your head and makes you think. And it's so short, concise, and so the ideas are so complex. I think it's so counterintuitive to where it needed to be approached this way. But like, yeah, I think like, in theory, why should I be afraid of standing up to the group or standing up? If I have rights, why should I be afraid? And I think that's especially what Trump is doing right now. Of course, is mainly criticizing the left at the time because I was the left was just more authoritarian. I'm not gonna say more authoritarian, but they're both authoritarian, whatever. But like more relevant, I would say. And their authoritarianism here. So it's like, yeah, we shouldn't be afraid of the group. It shouldn't be like, oh, what are people gonna say? What are people gonna do? No, you like two things. One, as far as what people are gonna do, that shouldn't be a fear at all because we should have the right and the security to say what we have to say. But what are people gonna say? That's something you have to claim yourself. You have to have the self-esteem to be free. If you don't have self-esteem, you're not free. If you don't know self, or you don't have self-esteem and self-confidence, you're not free. See, I never made a video about this. There's 3 categories you need to be a moral person in my eyes. 1, you need to have high self-esteem. 2, the ability to reason, which is to think and to break down the thoughts, follow a chain of arguments, and 3, to be able to act on your knowledge. If you know better, do better. If you know the fire's hot, don't touch it. If you have those 3 things, you will be a great moral person. For the most part, at least. I mean, unless someone is just like, I'm a killer or whatever. I've never been a killer. But if you're the average person, those 3 things. If you're not a better person, you at least will be happier if you have those 3 things. Yeah. So you need to reason and not fear what people are gonna say. And if you fear what people are gonna do, you're probably not in a free society. And I think a lot of people are afraid of what people are going to do to them in America. During a certain time, I think with this Trump regime thing, yeah, because Trump is a threat to our freedoms, because the current MAGA is a threat to our freedoms, just like the Democrats were a threat to our freedoms back in the COVID times. It's not different. You can say, oh, Republicans did the same thing too. Well, I was living here in Florida, and listen, I'm not saying Republicans are not corrupt or whatever. I'm on this side, this team, because they both have their moments of authoritarianism. Obviously, of anti-individuality and anti-individualism for their own gains, because they want you to conform. They want to maintain a status quo where they have their own power, and that's any major political or corporate entities. I know by people in the UK, they're probably confused, but you could probably relate to the parties where you're from. But that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm challenging. We should be citizens that are in any country. If you're not powerful in your country, listen up. You should be citizens of reason and know what you're talking about. Be sharp and ready and prepared to fight back with knowledge against those that are in power, because they will corrode your freedoms and make you and intimidate you. To even if they say, listen, you won't get arrested for this, they'll scare you and shock you enough culturally to where you won't even try to test if you have freedoms. It's a psychological game. Always has been. So I think that's what that second verse really addresses. You have to have that self-esteem. You have to have that knowledge in order to exercise your freedoms. And there's a lot of not surrendering to the group, whatever the group is doing, whatever the movement's doing. Because a lot of times, if these are from my alternative thinkers, Dow's for my alternative thinkers. A lot of times, the evil and the powerful people make themselves seem bigger than what they actually are, and they're not that big. Pause. They're not that big. So don't follow the group. Don't follow the mob, because the mob often is evil and hive-minded and is meant to be consumptuous and eat away at your freedoms, at your right to think and be your own man or woman, have your independent mind. Identity politics designed to do that. Fascism designed to do that. Marxism, I don't care. Marxism, communism designed to do that. Be men and women of reason. Let's go. Next song, Prom, featuring JT Flame. Let's go, JT Flame. He has an album coming out. You also check out God Is Not Listening.
I don't really know when to stop, that's my problem. I don't really know when to stop, that's my problem. I don't really know when to stop, that's my problem. I don't really know when to stop, that's my problem. I don't really know when to stop, that's my problem. I don't really know when to stop, that's my problem. I don't really know when to stop, that's my problem. I don't really know when to stop, that's my problem. I don't really know when to stop.
I performed this song recently too, yeah.
I don't really know when to stop, that's my problem. I don't really know when to stop, that's my problem. I don't really know when to stop, that's my problem. I don't really know when to stop, that's my problem. Man, I love Athena, glad I didn't use a condom. And I bet she's 10 times smarter than your daughter. But that's not a shocker because I am a father. Let me tell you the problem, I talk too much. Plus I got opinions that don't please everyone. I tell the kids to be happy, gotta pick yourself up. Most women nowadays are only good for a nut. Most men nowadays are only good for a laugh. I never met a leader that I known I could trust. So put yourself first and someone else last. To sacrifice dignity will only drive you mad. People got you thinking that you have to pick a side. Like you're either on the left or you're either on the right. You're either pro-black or you're either pro-white. But either way you have to sacrifice to the tribe. Plus there's no consistency to fight on both sides. They both require you to have no independent mind. The individual is always forced to stay in line. You might as well die if you give up self-pride. Verse done. Damn! right. Never play your role, you on your own. Don't do what you're told, don't you sell your soul. You are you, give yourself control. No leader will come through and help you with the stuff they know. It's your only life, do what you like, fight for what you own. Property and body in your thoughts, don't you let them go. Hold your gun for any criminals who think it's a joke. If they have a badge or they don't, be prepared to unload. Keep your circle tight, it's your right. Go and smoke your dope, go love who you want. Talk your talk, whether rich or broke. You are you and that is all that matters. Love your ego, bottom line, just love yourself and be original. I don't really know when to stop, that's my problem. I don't really know when to stop, that's my problem. I don't really know when to stop, that's my problem. I don't really know when to stop, that's my problem. I don't really know when to stop, that's my problem. I don't really know when to stop, that's my problem. I don't really know when to stop, that's my problem. I don't really know when to stop, that's my problem. I don't really know when to stop, that's my problem. I don't really know when to stop, that's my problem. I don't really know when to stop, that's my problem. I don't really know when to stop, that's my problem.
I don't really know how to stop, that's my problem. When I'm in my rocket ship gliding over Gotham. See,
shout out JT.
A demo, but I lost it. Well, actually, I tossed it in the toilet and I clogged it. I'm not sorry, I'm honored that you're in your orbit. I'm just not in your orbit. I'm an egomaniac. Look how they react to me saying that, like I know it's a fact. While I'm sitting back, I'm an overreact. Get the dough, get some cash while you open your stash. Socialists say, but many other motherfuckers tired of these whiny bitches pretending they above us.
I don't really know problem. I don't really know when to stop, that's my problem.
So I want to address that song a little bit. Like, I feel like JT focuses more on the socialist, radical leftist side, and I focus on pretty much, the leftist side, the woke stuff in America. I think I can speak for JT on this too, because we have a conversation about this. I think what both of us don't like and why both of us need to be on that song. First off, I wish he was screaming during this song, so that part where it's acapella, he could have went "Whoa" or something instead of leaving it blank. But anyway, I think what both of us don't like is like the condescension and feeling like we can't be ourselves and live our own lives. I think that's what we're sort of fighting for on this one, of course, from different countries and different points of views, and I think that's what we mainly prioritize. I think us focusing so much on the left, though, made it sound like we're super conservative. I wouldn't say we're really that super conservative of people. It's just at the time the left, like I said, was more relevant in its authoritarianism. At least in America. I don't know what's going on in the UK right now. But, like, yeah, so, yeah, I think that's what, like, look, listening to sort of how the arguments are being presented, and what we're saying, I think we just don't like being controlled and we just want to be free and live our lives, essentially. Something so simple, but I guess it's so hard when you're actually out in the world.
I don't really know when to stop, that's my problem. I don't really know when to stop, that's my problem. I don't really know when to stop, that's my problem. I don't really know when to stop, that's my problem. I don't really know when to stop, that's my problem.
You know, like the way that some people were describing this album, I thought like it wasn't easy to listen to. Look, I'm actually having a really easy time listening to this. These songs are very straightforward. I'm definitely enjoying it, like naturally enjoying these songs more than the previous albums. Even President Mackin's lyrically is much more ambitious, but as far as like the beat is easy listening, these songs are easier to listen to in my opinion than President Mackin's, Mine and Manny Mackin's, Hell's Confusing, and some Andy Mackin's, and they're very straightforward. So yeah, they get to the point too. Free Will. This next song is called Free Will. The bell melody. Wow. My voice sounds good even though it's like off. Like that amateur singing style was really good here. Yo, the singing here actually sounds really dope. Hold up. And that intro was crazy. Hold up. Look at that first minute. You really get into it. Hold up. I didn't know I did that to this song. I remember the hook, but yo, yo, that sound. I use that sound a lot though, but it sounds super cool here. That snap, the reverb I hear on that. Yo, is this the beginning of my singing style right here? This though might be the beginning of my singing style. I didn't realize it. That intro is fire though.
Keep that free will alive. Keep that free will alive. Keep that free will alive. Keep that free will.
Your life's gonna change, your youth will fade. You'll go through a phase where you'll go insane. Heart full of angst, misguided rage. You heard my songs, I was the same. At times too jaded, didn't want to create. Felt I was hated, didn't know my place. Asking for advice, did it go my way? Other people's thoughts made me feel strange, like life was more than what others say. And I was right, but still too afraid. I know I preach, but it's all true. I may sound mean and look uncouth, but that's just me and I pay my dues. Cause I've seen life change when I say truth. You do the same and don't be scared. You pursue life when it's unfair. Truth. You do the same and don't be scared. For advice, did it go my way? Other people's thoughts made me feel strange, like life was more than what others say. And I was right, but still too afraid. I know I preach, but it's all true. I may sound mean and look uncouth, but that's just me and I pay my dues. Cause I've seen life change when I say truth. You do the same and don't be scared. You pursue life when...
Could have enunciated better. I think the doubling over that didn't save it much. But I know what I got what I said. Plus, I see lives change when I say truth. Powerful line, I do believe that, but if I would enunciate it better, would have came across better.
Unfair. When times get hard, you should still care. Don't give up in times of despair. That's when you fight more. Know what you fight for. Wanna give that up cause others call you weird. Wanna sacrifice love cause of your fears. The one who decides that is in the mirror. Sacrifice a long and happy career because of problems that may appear. What? Down.
Keep that free will alive. Keep that free will alive. Keep that free will alive. Keep that free will.
Look, time's gonna change. Your soul may break. Your beauty will fade. You'll feel dismayed. Keep your head in the game.
What? Yo. All right. That first verse, I have some criticism. I think I should have took some words out because the flow was kind of awkward in certain places, and it was hard to enunciate. But I think I noticed like with these albums, I would take some, like I feel like I was still sort of taking some of the rawness from Mine and Many Mackins and putting it here, some of the personal events of my life and putting it here. But JORDA takes those things and puts it in its own, like its own, like has to make it have its own identity. Does that make sense? I feel like President Mackins did that with Manny Mackins, even though not as well as JORDA did with Mine and Many Mackins. But I feel like there's that, and I feel like Mine and Many Mackins still had some of that narrative, that strong narrative of President Mackins, but was meant to do it in a different way. But introduced its own more personal thing, and then JORDA just came with the more philosophical, challenging, minimal clarity, but had some of that personal rawness. But I think the rawness works better in Mine and Many Mackins on some of those songs than it did here. But I still liked it, but it was too noticeable. Also, the leveling change of the singing vocals and verse makes it kind of a little bit awkward to listen to. But overall, the energy of the song I still really like.
you're enslaved by trending waves. It don't matter, you have that choice. Don't care about who you annoy. Everyone has their right to live, and you have yours. Remember this, you have free will if you exist. Don't listen to the sick that tell you opposite. Sam Harris not gonna lift you up, but listen to him out of everyone. He say you make choices, but they're not free. Somebody tell me what that means. If I don't make choices when I think, then what makes my choices? That's me, myself, and I. And if anybody tells you anything else, guess what? They lied. So don't listen to the ones that say you can't control your life. Cause at the end of the day, what you use to decide your mind.
That's true. At the end of the day.
Keep that free will alive. Keep that free will alive. Keep that free will alive. Keep that free will.
I love the lyrics of that. Like I said, there were some vocal leveling, some technical issues. Would I change it though? No. I think that song and maybe a lot of these songs, that's probably why some people had an issue with the mixing. I think a lot of it is conceptual. And what I mean by that is, like, looking at the end, it felt like, especially that second verse, the reason why there was an extra boom, 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 and that extra loudness in second vocals was because at the time I really wanted you to hear it. Now, granted, for anyone that's like, oh, there's other ways to do that, there is, and that's my critique. Even though I see the intention, just in terms of presentation, it probably could have came across a little bit easier and clear on first listen if those things were evened out. But for those that really, really want to listen and resonate to the message, I don't think it would turn them away. Does that make sense? So there's that. However, because of the actual music, which means the actual arrangement, the actual flow, the actual intention, that's one of my favorite songs on here so far. All these songs are really good. Yeah, all these songs are really good. I don't see the issue with them.
I'm gonna take this one a cappella. This is from Jonathan Haidt's The Righteous Mind. Excuse
Love
my
that book.
alarm.
Love that book.
According to Tomasello, human cognition veered away from that of other primates when our ancestors developed shared intentionality. At some point in the last million years, a small group of our ancestors developed the ability to share mental representations of tasks that two or more of them were pursuing together. For example, while foraging, one person pulls down a branch while the other plucks the fruit, and they both share the meal. Chimps never do this. Or, while hunting, the pair splits up to approach an animal from both sides. Chimps sometimes appear to do this, as in the widely reported case of chimps hunting colobus monkeys. But Tomasello argues that the chimps are not really working together. Rather, each chimp is surveying the scene and then taking the action that seems best to him at that moment. Tomasello notes that these monkey hunts are the only time that chimps seem to be working together, yet even in these rare cases, they fail to show the signs of real cooperation. They make no effort to communicate with each other, for example, and they are terrible at sharing the spoils among the hunters, each of whom must use force to obtain a share of meat at the end. They all chase the monkey at the same time, yet they don't all seem to be on the same page about the hunt. In contrast, when early humans began to share intentions, their ability to hunt, gather, raise children, and raid their neighbors increased exponentially. Everyone on the team now had a mental representation of the task, knew that his or her partners shared the same representation, knew what a partner had acted in a way that impeded success or that hogged the spoils, and reacted negatively to such violations. When everyone in a group began to share a common understanding of how things were supposed to be done, and then felt a flash of negativity when any individual violated these expectations, the first moral matrix was born. Remember that a matrix is a consensual hallucination. That, I believe,
was our Rubicon crossing. Tomasello believes that human ultrasociality arose in 2 steps. The first was the ability to share intentions in groups of 2 or 3 people who were actively hunting or foraging together. That was the Rubicon. Then after several 100,000 years of evolution for better sharing and collaboration as nomadic hunter-gatherers, more collaborative groups began to get larger, perhaps in response to the threat of other groups. Victory went to the most cohesive groups, the ones that could scale up their ability to share intentions from 3 people to 300 or 3,000 people. This is my response. This whole tape was based around the individual. I will not retreat the message that I give you, but nuance is needed because the world isn't simple. You will not get too far doing things that the chimps do. I'm not saying be superficial to fit in with the big group, but don't exclude people that will uplift you that is just as detrimental. Don't limit your potential to a ritual or status symbol, but also know that a good circle could be beneficial. I told you don't be a lost soul when I was with Cactus Frank. Don't isolate to isolate. Coincidence, that was the collab tape. You hear me collaborate just as you hear me innovate. Humans can be useless, but love the ones who are great. That's why I end my tapes by saying thanks. I could just respond to the hate and let the good go to waste. My sound changes every song because I see new people every day, but I'm still willing to separate if I need my time and space. I'm willing to cut ties if I'm out of place. I recommend everyone to have these traits, but sometimes in life you have to cooperate. We are humans, not chimps. We are meant to lead the way, but no man should be above us. No group should decide our fate. We volunteer to be a team. Don't just always think of me. We evolve past blind interest. We are man. We can think. I think that's what it comes down to. I think that's what it comes down to. First off, hearing that, I love that. I should read again. The Righteous Mind. I still have. Do I have it right here? Hold up. Let me see. Do I have it right here? Let me see if I have it right here. I think I should. There it is. Okay. There we go. Yes. This is one of the most important books written in poli-sci or whatever, or philosophy or social sciences, one of them. This is where the quote from that book, the quote in Don't Be a Chimp, I guess it's a skit, talk, whatever. So minimalistic, it doesn't even have shared intentionality. I just said it. He has there's a lot. I should read it again, but there's a lot of books I'm getting to, and whatever. But this book, so interesting. And yeah, and books like this challenge the mind. That's good. When the mind's challenged, it's good. Let me put this back. But yeah, I encourage people to read and have all this knowledge and challenge themselves. I think that'll lead to a better world in the future. So I agree with that. It's like life is not that simple. I'm not saying be super contrarian, but don't put the group above you so much to where you lose your self-esteem. Don't put one man or woman above you so much to where you lose yourself. You can think, you can decipher, you could understand the nuance, because we are men. We could think. We have a ability to understand shared interests. We have the ability to understand each other. We have the ability to understand our situation. That's the importance of free will. And the people that try to, I don't want to be too generalized. The reason why I was harsh on Sam Harris, because I think he's a horrible debater, and or was a horrible debater, and I just disagree with him, and I think he was too forceful. But that's pretty much it. Let's go to the last song before there's like this long rant at the end. Athena,
on this song, I'll tell you everything that's true. And at this point, you're still in your mother's womb. I'm building up my vision, pushing through, putting out ideas that uplift the people while trying to make some money too. Your father does what he loves and never follows groups. I follow my heart and succeed. I want the same for you. Life will stress you out in your authentic pursuit. Never let people tell you who you are. You have nothing to prove. Only time will tell if your ideas will win or lose. Talk is cheap, you can't buy time, so don't waste it on fools. There will be times where evil will look like it's cool. Remember the decisions that you make will affect you soon. Reflect all the time when you're alone in your room. Analyze what you did and the effects of what you choose. Try to reason with ideas and not an attitude. And work hard for everything and celebrate your attributes. Ignore the people who gon' sit around and laugh at you. Success is not a joke. You get success, now you are valuable. The same people who once left are hysterical. They'll probably be your biggest fan and start to cherish you.
Right.
Never trust the government. They'll take away all you have with no hesitance. All of these idiots are all authoritarians. Okay, I guess you'll look into that later then. But don't let no man steal your independence. Cause once you let it go, it's twice as hard to get it. Don't be a prisoner to fancy possessions. Your character is more important than material successes. Integrity over money, that ain't even a question. Know where you're going and be headed to where you're destined. If you have a problem, then solve it. Don't wait on a heaven. And every failure you have is just a hard lesson. Don't lose your confidence because you were once rejected. Good people hit hard times, you won't be an exception. People who talk down on others are the least secure. They won't offer any solution or any real support. Learn how to budget, don't spend more than you can afford. Delayed satisfaction is the key to high rewards. Keep doing what you love, even if you're first ignored. You put in enough time, you get what you've been looking for.
Yeah, I'm ending that. I'm very pissed off. So that's Athena's mother singing that song, or singing that hook, the one in the picture. Athena's still in the womb, as I said in the first line. So people were confused about that when the song came out. So I don't. Yeah. I think her performance was very boring, very dry. I don't think she took it serious. Unless she understood it. I was better off either paying someone off or singing it myself. I like the song though, because I killed it. Like my lyrics and my performance, I killed it. And the beat, I killed it. That's probably the weaker songs on there because she's just so boring of a performer. But it's like no charisma, no personality. But I destroyed that. And that's one of my favorite songs just because she sounds good. To where, like, you know, if you're vibing out and you're not really paying attention that much, it sounds good enough, especially because my lyrics and my whatever, I killed it. So, it almost, you know, it works out, but that's probably one of my least favorite songs on there. I guess those are all the songs on there. The last part is a rant. It was a great listen. Great, short, sweet listen, phenomenal. Probably the I would say this and President Mackin's. Musically, I think this is better than President Mackin's, but President Mackin's just had some amazing songs on there. Yeah, those President Mackin's, this one are some of my favorites so far. I'm gonna rank all these at the end, but yeah. All right, let's continue. All right, let's hear what I'm talking about on this rant. Now, the reason why it's called Final Dow Rant because I was doing a weekend show at this time, and I was planning on ending it right when this dropped. And so I did that, and so this was the Final Dow rant. So I'm ranting for 11 minutes. Let's hear this.
We need to
And what I mean by we is people who think about their values or reason through life, or at least lead through reason. Because when you're reasoning through life, when you get to a certain point of what some may call enlightenment, you realize your previous self or your previous way of thinking was so juvenile, for lack of a better term, and juvenile relatively to who you are now. So those that sort of lead life through reason, or try their best to lead life through reason or growth, need to be uncompromising to those who stick with mediocrity for the sake of altruism. And what do I mean by that? Well, as if anybody who's listening through my mixtapes or my songs, you would know my relationship with my parents is not the best. And I'm not gonna go all out, as I may have indicated in previous songs, simply because it's just not necessary. I feel like I've already been too public with my life already as is. But just to say that what I find sort of despicable in our culture, and what I mean by in our culture is not particularly to individuals that I mention right now, but to our way of life just as a whole, I believe is so disorienting to the individual as someone who should live by their own intuitions, reason, and logic, as if we're supposed to look at life as detached from ourselves. One thing that has always got me worried about people who look at movies and music that are not unable to interact with people is the fact that how are you exposed to so much ideas and so much things surrounding life, and you're still in the same place, you're still making the same mistakes, you're still unable to empathize with people. What is the point of getting into the arts? A good way of interpreting art is looking at stories, and in my case, as a lyricist, as a musician, what I do, whether or not I look at it, is concretize ideas from life and from life essentially, but inspiration from others, and as well as what I see, and I concretize it and put it in something that's so digestible and to where people could interact with it and feel it logically, emotionally, spiritually, as you will. Which is why I think everybody in the audience right now, it's so, I got into a point in my life where it's just too much people to think. The views you might see me get are not the people, are not all the inspiration. I got into a point where it's too big. I couldn't just shout out the features. I could just shout out the people who allow me to be on their songs. But it won't matter. It's really the audience, really the people who see the message. I don't. Okay. I think I already explained that enough. When I look at my podcast or rants on my previous channel, I try to be a political podcaster for about half a year. I realized something about political podcasting. I realized something about commentating. Is that I'm not a commentator. Like, I'm not someone who looks at something sees it as separate as me, and then sort of just makes a mockery out of life. This is what commentators do. It's what critics do. This is what commentators do. I mean, you could say they're changing the culture, influencing people, but they're only going to influence people from the sidelines. Let's look at life as a game, a basketball game. Who inspired more people? LeBron James or the people at SportsCenter? The athletes or the people at SportsCenter? Who do you think really inspired more people? I'm a doer. I'm an artist. I can't be the one that responds to controversy. I make the controversy. I push the ideas that makes the critics criticize. I push the ideas that get the people on the bleachers yelling and screaming. In my sports analogy, I push the ideas that gets the conversation going. Gets the people in SportsCenter their checks because I get the conversation going, right? So let's talk about something other than me and my life and my intention, because we have a whole discography of that. There's so much songs and records, and I'm grateful for. By the way, if you haven't figured it out yet, this is not going to be a song. I'm pretty much ended it. You already had your musical experience already. You don't. I mean, like this is not gonna be like some new song that you could dance and drive to, whatever. I mean, the ideas that need to be said on this record have already been said, and it doesn't need to be closed out, I feel, through another record. It should be closed out through a direct conversation, because what I have learned from podcasting is that direct conversation does a lot of things that music can't do, and music can do a lot of things that direct conversation can't do. Now, my gift is in the music, so I communicate more efficiently through music. But through straightforward conversation, people just hear you more because they're not distracted by the beats. They're not distracted by the sounds. They're not enamored with emotion to the point where they can't understand the words of what you say. Now, the thing about conversation is a lot of people, once they hear what you say and they see that you're the other, they misinterpret what you say. They decide not to listen to what you say. Right? And sometimes when you're conversing, you get so in your head, or at least I do, to where you start to stutter, people start to lose interest, and it's not efficient. So as a song is very efficient in getting, and it's also efficient in letting people drop their ego, because everybody likes a tune. Everybody likes something that can make them feel some type of way, so they drop their ego and then they listen to what you have to say. I mean, you like everybody wants to talk about how they hate excessive self-indulgence, but they want to listen to a freaking rapper talk about sex and money and gold or whatever, because their ego drops once that beat hits them. Their ego drops once that charisma's there. Their ego drops when the flow or rhythm. I've seen people who are completely non-romantic, aromantic, to a certain extent, and sing a love song. So that's the beauty of music. But I really want to get to the direction of the DAO rather than just from me, which is the micro. The macro of the DAO is really to uplift the individual. And I believe that if you look at all of my discography, even from the ones, the regular songs, or by regular songs I mean the ones on the random collection playlist, you'll see a theme of coming of age, a theme of existential crises, a theme of individuality, individualism, pushing through, inspiration. You'll see those themes, and those themes aren't really pushed forward in the ways that I feel I do it. They're not pushed forward, but they're the most important things, because at the end of the day, you have to be able to rely on yourself and make good decisions. And I don't know what has lost in this generation to where that's seen as controversial. It shouldn't be. There's a reason why old people are saying it. Old people that messed up their lives, that are broke right now, are saying it because they know the truth is, at the end of the day, if I would have done this, I would have done that, I knew I should have been. Don't be that kind of person. We have a bunch of art, we have a bunch of songs, a bunch of movies, a bunch of poetry that will tell you that. So, that's really all I gotta say for this final Dow rant. Dow stands for dark period, RT period, original. And this is only the beginning, but it's the final rant. This is not.
Yeah, so a lot to say about that. I first off, I don't want to say that I disagree with one slight part, which is I said that it's this generation. It's not just a generational thing. It's what people do. I think if you listen to my music, I was actually there for years as my grandparents were dying, and I heard their regrets. And also I've read a lot of books. I've read a lot of testimonies of people's regrets. And it all stems from a chip on their shoulder. Feeling they have to prove themselves and having low self-esteem and keep up with the Joneses and just following the group blindly. When they sit there and they think about it. So that's my experience. If anyone else experienced something else, let me know. But that is usually the source of regret, is being so in your trauma, so into following the group, to the point where you just lose all of yourself. Yourself is very important. So I stand by everything I say in JORDA, besides that one slight part. And the references, like referencing the left, I still think it's relevant. But of course, I would mainly focus on the right now. But yeah, I think JORDA was me showing my moral code a lot. It's a very straightforward project. I don't know why it was confusing for people. It sounds great, sounds clear. Maybe the audio was already enhanced. Who knows? But yeah. Dow, subscribe to the channel. Nothing else to say. I explained it all in JORDA. It speaks for itself. It's painstakingly clear. Yeah. Another good breakdown. This was more of a reaction because there was not much to really break down. It's straightforward. I don't even think there's one punchline throughout the whole entire thing. Not one punchline, not one metaphor. Next week, Project 2025. My personal favorite, but it might change. So far, all the ones that I've heard, this and President Mackins were the best ones. So, yep. Dow.